Ma'am, please start, ma'am.
Good evening. Welcome to this second session of film appreciation. I'm your instructor, Professor Aysha Iqbal Vishamohan, and good to see some of you here already. So, to begin with, let me insist on regular submission of assignments. I can already see one student writing that he couldn't submit the assignments. See, it impacts. It will bring the total score down. Please keep submitting the remaining assignments and appear for your end semester exam. We'll see after that. But what you have missed is missed. We cannot go back to it. So it's not. We are not going to have any supplementary or makeup exam for this kind of course. So this is the way it operates. So we can't help it. So therefore, I always insist that please be very regular with your submissions. Assignments are extremely important. They're also easy. It shouldn't take too much time to, listen to the recordings or watch the recordings and appear for the weekly or submit the weekly assignments. So please pay attention, a little more attention to that aspect. So we'll start with first question. Chaitanya wants to know about the final exam. It is offline. I think we have discussed this last time also. It is going to be offline, and today I will again remind my NPTEL team to upload the videos of both these live sessions. Please remember, exams are offline. It is really difficult for me to attend offline examination. Chaitanya, many people are attending, and we have just very recently finished an offline exam with, very successfully. So please be alert to that. It is going to be offline. I will talk about the pattern of the final question paper soon. Let me respond to the second question now. The question is, can history and development of animated film be included? I think this question was sent or posted on the discussion forum also. The response to this question is this, that well, animation is a very specialized area. All right, it is also a technique. It requires more technique. Of course, there is always a theory, because we read animation vis-a-vis gender and racial representations also. For example, let's consider Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast. So lots of revisions keep happening in these texts. However, if you want to talk about the technical aspects and what are the recent developments happening, it is a very specialized area. The course that we are having is, well, I'm talking more about theories and also trends and movements in world cinema. I should have made it more specific, that there are certain kinds of things which will not be discussed. So it is less about filmmaking and film techniques. Animation is a very evolved kind of technique. So that is my response to this, that there are several interesting and very useful courses on animation on YouTube. So please watch that. Yes, this course does not have it, and that's the way it is. I have already responded to Alphonse's question. Submission of assignments is important. There is another question. I have not received any information regarding the exam center. See, the dates and centers will be announced by the NPTEL office. So please keep watching the website. I am really not involved with these aspects. Again, the question, I missed 4 assignments. Yes, you have missed, and there won't be any kind of makeup or supplementary. Will it affect my eligibility for appearing for the exam? You please send me a mail, Alphonse. I will connect you to my NPTEL team, the administrators, and let them respond to this. So Alphonse, you are welcome to send me a mail. Jeet is asking a question. Is there a way to watch films mentioned in the course legally and free? I'm not too sure. Many of the films that I watched, that I talk about, and the links that I show, they are available on YouTube. But sometimes YouTube removes those links, as we all know. So it can't be helped. YouTube is an independent body that has its own mechanism and legal framework of operating. Sometimes they remove certain links. I have recently responded to a question where a link was removed on cinematic techniques, which I had shown in my course, in the recorded course. So somebody brought to my attention that the link is missing. So I found that particular video somewhere else. So I have sent a link from another site. So you please watch it. Legally and free, I'm not too sure how these things are done, because many of the films that I talk about, they are available on various these paid OTTs, Netflix and perhaps Amazon and all. So yes, but you see, there is a thing about Netflix and other OTTs that for example, if I mention a movie related to German Expressionism or French New Wave or Italian New Wave, those films are not there. Okay, and unfortunately, they are not there on the YouTube also. So yes, I understand what you're trying to say. Then are paid channels where they do have these, where these classic movies are available, but you'll have to pay for that. So yeah, that's the way it works. Week 8 has no assignment. I think you're going to receive it soon. Don't worry. Week 8 has an assignment. Every week has assignments. Don't worry about these things. Aditya, don't respond to don't type the same question again and again because it distracts me. Yes, week 8 has an assignment. We will be making it live soon. Maybe links can be shared in the forums or through the emails. Yes, I have sent it through the forum. There is a link. There was a particular link that is no longer functioning. So in response to that query, I have sent recently the same link from another site. So I have sent it through the forum. Vivek Khare, I have already sent it. Ajay is asking, will questions asked in exam will be based like who directed what? Yes, they will be. Absolutely. There will be questions on directors, actors, films. Please do not take the exam or the course lightly. And remember, if you are just in this for, because you thought a course on film studies or film appreciation is easy, it is not. So whether you're doing it for academics or for enhancing your own personal knowledge, if you are serious about certification, please take the course seriously. There will be lots of questions based on this kind of information. There is a question on, shall the exam be 100 MCQ? Yes. So you see, this is a question on the pattern. There is, you are anyway looking at the weekly assignments and you know the pattern. End semester is also going to be MCQ type. So most of us follow a set standard pattern, but because it's for 3 hours, it will be a lengthy question paper. More than that, if I tell you, then it's like giving the question paper out. But please remember, it will be MCQ time. It's set for 3 hours. So you are expected to go through the questions very carefully. You have to read the questions, and it's a lengthy question paper. So there will be long questions. Yes, Vivek Khare, I have already responded to you. Please don't repeat your questions. Links can be shared in the forum. We have done it several times. So recently I have done that. There is one question. Why are the lectures hard to understand? It seems tailored for IITians. Actually, this course was not tailored for IITians at all. You wouldn't find our students at all there. So I'm surprised because this is the first time I'm getting this question that why are the lectures hard to understand. I will tell you what your problem appears to me like. Many of the names, for example, we are talking about French and Swedish and German filmmakers, we are not aware of that. Unfortunately, we are not taught cinema as a serious subject at high school or secondary school, and therefore when we are suddenly introduced to these concepts and these names, especially European names. See, Hollywood, most people are somewhat aware of, at least the big names. All of you, I know that you know Tom Cruise and Leonardo and Brad Pitt and major stars. But the moment we talk about directors and European directors and Irani and African directors, I know it is difficult because this is your encountering these names and films for the first time. So that's the problem. So all of us learn, and there is always a first time for us to learn something. So please, apply yourself, read more, and let me also help you with something that on the YouTube, there are excellent supplementary materials related to whatever I am doing here. So the more you watch, the better you will understand and learn. But don't think that it is that I am putting you at any kind of a disadvantage. This course was not meant for IITians. Week 8 has no assignment. No, there will be. Please keep watching the space. I will make it live today. What would be the nature of exam 1 questions? End semester, yes, objective. It is objective. No subjectivity. There's a question, what the revision lectures and practice for the exam? I don't understand what is the meaning of this question. What is revision lecture? What is a revision lecture and what is practice for the exam? What does it mean? Ajay is asking, will the questions be info based? Yes. Directors will be asked only for famous director and their famous movies. No, not just that, but also about trends, movements, and things that we have been doing. Is there a pattern for the offline exam, or will it be sufficient to go through your lecture videos? See, at the end of every lecture, or even during my lectures, I keep telling you that watch this link or go through this reading. If you want to score, let's say 100%, you will have to put in extra effort. Don't take it lightly. It's not going to be a cakewalk. But if lecture videos, of course, are very useful, and they are the most important material or a resource for for this particular course. So lecture videos are important. Submission of assignments is important. Again, the same questions, weekly assignments, very hard to complete. No, this is, again, I will tell you, first time I am hearing this. People who are watching the videos on a regular basis and submitting the assignments, nobody has ever complained that about the fact that about the course, that it's a difficult course. It is not. The only The only issue I see here is that these names are very new to most of us. And let me tell you, you're not the only one. Even for me, I have been teaching film studies for the past 25 years. But when we start, getting familiar with world cinema, it is very daunting to understand world cinema, or come to terms with world cinema, or to appreciate cinema outside our own country and standard Hollywood cinema. Most of us are familiar only with our regional cinema or Hindi films or Hollywood films. That too very well-known Hollywood films. So therefore, it may come across as a difficult course, but you have to apply yourself. End semester is offline. Yes. 100 MCQ types. Yes. I'm getting more interested in film appreciation. Is there any advanced course? Not by me. Will it be good to attend FTII Pune offline? I'm not too sure. I was a student at FTII Pune. I did a film appreciation course several years ago. I found it useful, but anyway, I was already teaching film studies at IIT. So I found the experience quite good, and it's a very nice place to go to. So if you get selected, yes, it would be great. There's a question. I am from technical background. This course is hard for me. Can you please tell some important topics of movies? Are the videos? Videos are important. See, it's an online course. Videos are important. Let me also tell you that people have this kind of a perception that films are easy. So when they enter this course, or when they join this course, they assume that it is going to be extremely easy. No subject is easy. Every subject requires a certain amount of knowledge, and nobody expects you to come 100% informed about this subject, but you are expected to watch the videos diligently and uh, apply yourself uh, by doing the assignments regularly. So that is the first step. I'll make the week 8 assignment live. There is a question: study equally about Indian and world cinema. I don't understand the question. Study equally about Indian and world cinema. Indian cinema is important, but this course, as you have seen, is more world cinema driven. When I was planning this course, it came along my previous course, Introduction to Film Studies. So when people who did Introduction to Film Studies, they asked for a kind of course which would have more information about world cinema, more information on world cinema. For example, the European or Chinese or let's say Japanese cinema. Most people are not familiar with that, so the course was developed with that intention. I missed 3 assignments. I think what you should do is send me a mail, and I will forward it to the administrators of the course, and let's see what they say. Now, how many assignments are there still? How many units are there still? Well, it's an 8 weeks course. I'm very sure. So I'm not too sure exactly what you mean by how many units, but it's a total of 8 weeks. What is the importance of mise-en-son? Mise-en-son is extremely important. Why? Because it tells you about the language of cinema. When you watch a scene, you understand how a scene is put together. It is not just the set, but also the actor's personality, the music, the color. All these things are factored in making a mise-en-scène. Okay. Synecdoche is something else. Synecdoche means perhaps, let's say Clint Eastwood and his cigar. Okay, what does it? So whenever you look at that, okay, the cigar signifies a lot. It sort of represents the man himself. Yeah, he is a archetypal archetypal kind of a Western cowboy. Okay, so that is what we understand. So synecdoche represents a part for a whole. Mise-en-scène and synecdoche are different kinds of different terms, different concepts. Are we supposed to see some specific films? See, please provide a list of films. I think we have already done that. There is a list of films provided, but if you have not yet received, I will forward it again. I will forward you a list of films again. However, your end semester exam, if you are concerned about that, so I'm not going to ask you any questions about how many, if you watched 100 movies in your life or 1,000 movies in your life. That is not important. Okay. And if you are just asking for your own, improvement or more, expanding your knowledge of cinema, then I would suggest that you look up Roger Ebert's list of great movies, all-time great movies. Roger Ebert has written 4 books, 4 volumes, 100 movies. So there are the volume 1, 2, 3, and 4, and a total of 400 movies he talks about. So if you are interested in that kind of information, then I would suggest that you look it up. Otherwise, for the course and for the exam purpose, you need not worry about watching films. I do talk about films, but you don't have to watch them all. Coming back to the assignments, yes, submitting assignments is extremely important. We expect you to submit assignments regularly. If you miss it, or if you have missed already 3 or 4 assignments, please send me a mail. I will forward it to my administrators. Let them take a call. I can't do that, and I cannot help anyone who has missed assignments. Regarding the exact dates and center, information on the center, that also something, it is an information that will be put out by the NPTEL authorities, so they will perhaps announce it soon. So you will have to keep watching that space. And regarding the QP and semester question paper, it will be very much like your assignment. But the only thing is that there will be 100 MCQ type of questions. Questions would be a little longer. I'm here. You can please continue asking me your questions. Okay. Please suggest a book for film appreciation. Please suggest a book for, there is, see, uh, um, uh, there are several excellent books on film studies. It all depends on what you are exactly looking for. No, let me just respond to this last one. I don't know why we can, why students get so worried about these things. Jayant, Jairaj, there is no negative marking in exam. Okay, so rest assured, it is not that kind of exam where we are going to cut your marks unnecessarily. And what is the pass mark for 100? See, don't worry, we'll take our call. We take our call from, every year we change the pattern. Ideally, it should be 30 to 35, but don't worry too much about this, pass and fail. So coming back to this question, are we supposed to read a book? It depends on what cinema you're looking for. You want a genre kind of a book. So there is something called, uh, um, um, it is called Film Studies. It's an Oxford book publication. And I can give you the exact title. I think several times I have mentioned it. It's there on the website also. It's there on the website, but don't worry, I will just repeat it for you. The title of the book, I think, which is very useful for most, The Oxford Guide to Film Studies. It's edited by John Hill and Pamela Church Gibson. So Hill and Gibson, Oxford Guide to Film Studies. But again, that is for your own information. And if you are interested, otherwise I do not expect you to come to have all this kind of information and knowledge. There's a question on, we don't know about the old movies, how to know about the old movies story. Well, again, I would suggest that you go through the Oxford Guide to Film Studies. And it is an excellent book. It will give you a lot of information about old cinema, earlier cinema. But if you are specifically asking me about Indian cinema, then there is something called Encyclopedia of Indian Cinema. You can read it, go through it, and it is really, really helpful. It has enough information about regional as well as Hindi cinema. Please provide the mail ID to send the mail. You can send me the mail. It is available on the website. If the exam is 100 MCQ offline, is it not convenient to make it 100 MCQ online? No, it is not an online exam. It is offline. Arrival of talkies in India led to the decline in careers. Yes, that has always been something that all of us are aware of. That there is also a fun movie called Singing in the Rain, which talks about the decline in the career of silent movie actors. So if you want to watch what Hollywood has got to say about the decline in the careers of uh, the silent era actors, and you watch this movie, Singing in the Rain, yes, it did affect people who were not very fluent with the Hindi language, Hindustani language. So they definitely were at a disadvantage, naturally. They didn't know the language. So earlier they were just miming, now they had to speak dialogues. So you know that later on when the movies went talkies, then we had this entire category of great singing stars, right? So KL Sehgal, he was a great singing star. So he was a superstar of that time. He had this magnificent voice and he would sing his songs. Watch uh, you know, the first Devdas, in which he sings and acts, and people loved him for that. So you needed to have a good voice and diction and familiarity with the language. There are plenty of films recommended to watch. Recommendation doesn't mean that you have to necessarily watch. Whenever a teacher teaches something, it is always for learning. It is learning for life. It is not like watch this video and after that forget about it. Okay. So watching films will help purely in exam point of view, not necessarily for exam point of view. Please go through the lectures. And when I recommend a movie, yes, it is like see, my understanding is that people are coming here for their interest in enhancing the knowledge of the subject. People want to know the important major movements and trends and the major personalities of cinema. So yes, I would recommend, but I wouldn't say that you have to necessarily watch whatever I am recommending. Yes, film art and introduction. David Bordwell, yes, it is extremely important. But then, as I just said, that there are several books, and it is not, let's say, very practical to recommend a list of books, especially at this stage. So I would say that if you are really interested and if you are planning a career or you are all anyway going to you are appearing for some other course, then David Bordwell and Robert Stamp and there is film theory and film criticism by Robert Stamp. All these are extremely important books. Not just one. But there is a list of 10 or 20 books which are extremely important. From exam point of view, I have not seen Sujata, but have seen Bandini or Dobiga, so that yeah. So questions can come from any film. Questions will come majorly from whatever I have been referring to. Marlon Brando belongs to Strasbourg School. Marlon Brando belonged to Lee Strasberg School of Method Acting. Yes, he was trained in the method acting, New York School, but not just Marlon Brando, but also his contemporary Montgomery Clift, also James Dean, later on Paul Newman. They all belong to Lee Strasberg School of Method Acting. There's a question why there are no dedicated lecture on Ritvik. Yeah, but then likewise, let's say there is no dedicated lecture on Bimal Roy also or something. But yeah, I particularly referred to Satyajit Ray because we all know how important Satyajit Ray is in the annals of film history and in world cinema. So is Ritvik Bhatta. But then it's just a 40-hour course and not really, practically not possible. Exam is going to be 100 MCQ offline. Please note, this is an entirely offline exam. You will have to come to a particular center. We will go to a test center and will be provided. See, I do not know the minutiae of how exams are conducted. Most probably this is the way. Most probably this is the way. Offline, you will go to a center, it's for 3 hours. And you will have to enter correct ticks. Yes. So I don't want to get into any spot that you said this and that, but this didn't happen. So I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritties of everything. It's MCQ. It's offline. And you'll have to go to a center. It's for 3 hours. There is a question about Jules and Jim, the rocking chair. Yes, so I couldn't get this Jules and Jim. It is not possible. But I think I must have mentioned that the rocking chair is quite symbolic in the movie. It represents the various characters and the rocky relationship to one another, and also when sometimes when the heroine, when the girl sits on that chair, and at the end the chair is empty. Okay, because she's no more. So there is a symbolism there. Please send me, those who have missed the assignments, please send me a mail. My mail ID is up there on the website. I'll forward it to NPTEL administrators. They will we will get back to you. No, we don't give sample question paper, and ma'am doesn't give sample question papers to anyone. It is only for, see, all the material is not my property, but IITs and NPTELs. So I really am not in any position to share anything, past or present material. Okay, good news, guys. There's just one mail I have received from NPTEL office that assignment 8 and video content has been made live. So there is video 8 and there is assignment 8 also. Jules and Jim is by Prof. It is not by Godard. Its running scene is also referred to in the Dreamers film released in 2003. Good observation. But please remember, it's a Truffaut movie, not a Godard movie. Godard and Truffaut were very different kind of filmmakers, although they were contemporaries and they are both the precursors of the so-called French New Wave, but they are very different from each other. If there are more questions, please, I encourage you to type in. Otherwise, please remember that we will be meeting once more. That will be sometime in October and NPTEL will announce it. Reverting to your major queries, exam is offline, 100 questions, MCQ types. Submission of assignments is extremely important. Those who have missed for any reason, please send me mails. I will forward it to the NPTEL administration. Formalism in cinema, there is a question on that. See, formalism is nothing but about the way a film is formed. Many of us we look at the form, the technique, the style of a cinema. So is form more important or is plot more important? So that's what we mean by whether the story is more important or the way, the style in which it is set. Many of you like Nolan's movies, so you will understand there is very little story. Okay, but it's the style. See, it's the Batman story. Batman was originally an animation and a cartoon, children's cartoon, right? But what Nolan did to the entire franchise is with the Dark Knight trilogy, something else altogether. So it's the sujet, how the story is told, how the basic story plot is told. If we study the assignments, MCQs only, no, it is not. You have to watch the videos. So question is it okay if we study the assignment MCQs only? No, this is a very dangerous practice. Please watch the lectures. Each student of this course have a unique, I'm not too sure. This is an administrative query. I'm not too sure. If I want to read some criticism on an actor's performance in films, I don't find generally in a film criticism. No, it's not like that. Nowadays we have books dedicated to specific actors. Of course, not even if you work you may be having your own set of favorite actors. So I'm not sure that there is a book on every actor, but there are books on individual actors. There are lots of books on individual actors, world actors as well as our own actors and their performances. So there are serious studies. We are not just talking about their biographies and life stories. Many of us would not be interested in that aspect, but there are several people who have done major critical uh, study of actors' performances. So those things are there in. And film criticism, yes, they do. I wouldn't agree with that. That in books on film criticism, there are they don't talk about actors' performances. In every major important book on film criticism, there is always a section devoted to a handful of prominent world actors. Most of the time, you will find discussion on Hollywood actors. Like it or not, Hollywood is has become the face of cinema. So because of the way they produce and distribute and market their films, so and also that they have various channels, and I mean television and OTT platforms. So it is heavily dominated by Hollywood. Money could be a reason. They have, of course, more money than any other film industry. So much of the discussion of films as well as actors is focused on Hollywood, but that doesn't mean that we don't have enough material on other kinds of actors and cinemas. If you look hard and if you are willing to, to walk an extra mile to procure or access that material, it is there. Excellent books on German actors, excellent books on French actors. Unfortunately, most of the time here we find that it is cinematic discussion is centered only on actors' personal lives and biographies. What you mean is something, an academic criticism on actors' performances. So you must read this book called the cinema book, and again, as someone has already referred to, David Bordwell's film art, and then I just mentioned the Oxford Guide to Film Studies. So these books do have some discussion of actors' performances also. And I don't understand what is this rule of modesty. What do you mean by modesty? But Iranian cinema is, of course, very good, very influential. And I'm not just saying because I like world cinema. Please understand that Iranian cinema has won accolades at all major film festivals. So there must be some kind of, see, we have our own brand of censorship. Iranian cinema must be having their own brand of censorship. So I don't know what exactly is this rule of modesty, but I can recommend, movies like A Taste of Cherry, um, and that Children of Heaven. Uh, then also, there was this movie called Gubbare, that means balloons. And interestingly, most of these films feature young children, small children, pre-teen children, because the idea is that children being so innocent. Okay, so filmmakers use children as vehicle to or as vehicles of their ideas rather than young men and women. I would also suggest that you watch this film called A Separation. A Separation, which is available on one of these OTT platforms. So some of the films are very good. Which type of screenplay technique? Well, he just it was a reversal technique. He just instead of film should have a beginning, middle, and end. He just took the whole idea or the whole concept to end, middle, and beginning. So this is nothing new. It is very postmodernist. We have been talking about it. Even in Pulp Fiction, it is not beginning, middle, and end, but the movie ends somewhere at the middle. John Travolta, who has been killed, at the end we find him, talking and walking away. That means at the end we still find him alive, although we know that he has been killed. So the movie ends at the middle. So this is just a very postmodernist technique. It doesn't really require that much of an effort. Godard famously had mentioned that film should have beginning, middle, and end, but not necessarily in that order. Classic cinema always insisted on having a beginning, middle, and end in that order. But then after there came a time when filmmakers disrupted this kind of classic structure. So Nolan and Tarantino and Guy Ritchie and Sam Mendes, many of these postmodernists, David Fincher. Okay, so all these filmmakers have used this technique. You say, why do they do this? So this in order to disrupt the traditional linear structure of film. So that people don't take anything for granted, but they think, they learn to analyze films in a more intellectual and academic way. Is there any advanced course to the next level after this ongoing? I'm not too sure. You'll have to look it up. You were talking about hyperlink cinema. Is Hindi film Suraj Ka Satwaं Ghoda? Yes, it is an example of hyperlink cinema. Okay, so how will I define the concept? One story leads to another. Okay, Love, Sex and Dhoka by Dibakar Banerjee is an example of hyperlink cinema. All characters appear in each other's stories. They are linked to each other. There is a common thread that runs through the plot, but then all these are different stories, different all of them, they are, the heroes or main principal actors of their own lives. Changing exam center, I am not sure. Please write to the NPTEL administrators, or you can send me a mail. I will forward it to you. Yes, good. You have given a very good example of all these films, Iranian cinema. There is a question on, yeah, unique registration ID number. Again, please send this query directly to the administrators. If you want me to respond, then yes, you are welcome to send me this query and I will forward it to the administrators. My email address is available on the net. You can go to the IITM website and please, yeah. I don't want to give it in typing here. I don't want to type it out here, but you, since you're registered students, you please send me a mail. I will respond to you. Please go to the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, IITM Madras. You will find me there. So there's a response. I think it's an observation. Makhmal Buff and Kiarostani, rule of modesty. It is something related to eyeline matching shot. Okay, you can look this up. It's not such a difficult question. Hindi postmodernist cinema, I love Sex and Dhoka, apart from Dev D. So it's a very good example. Lipstick under my burqa. It is a sort of, several stories, several threads running parallel to each other. So that is also a good example. There are lots of postmodernist films which are made with self-referential and all, and they are very much there. So it is not like we don't have enough examples. I would say, see, yeah, Son Chiriya is an example of postmodernism, the way the narrative jumps back and forth. No Smoking Too was is an example of postmodernist cinema. If you have any other question, please ask me. It's about time. So if you have any other question, perhaps, we can take in one or two more short questions. One question is postmodern, Dil, Dosti, etc. Yes, you are right. I would say even Dil Se, Mani Ratnam's Dil Se was postmodern. Any example of androgyny in Indian cinema? Not exactly. It doesn't come that you have to watch something very, very, because the androgyny does not necessarily means queer cinema. AK versus AK, yes, it's a very good example of postmodernism. Coming back to androgyny, there is a movie called Constantine. There's a movie called Constantine in which Tilda Swinton's character, okay, plays an angel. And she is a woman playing an angel, a masculine character. We really aren't sure. So, but it is not, it is the way she looks. Okay. A male, a personality that combines the attributes of both genders. But we are not talking about transgender here. When do we have this exam, forenoon or afternoon? I'm not too sure. I wouldn't be able to give you these technical details. Why there are no movies with visual effects discussed? For the simple reason that it is difficult due to copyright reasons to screen film clippings and show and explain the concepts of various concepts of visual effects. What is the difference in the art direction of Vijay Anand and Guru Dutt? Both are stalwarts, no doubt about it. And how can we ask about how can we compare like visual in the art direction? They were very different kind. Although, they were contemporaries, but Vijay Anand came a little later. Okay, and Guru Dutt's best was, of course, black and white cinema. Okay, so art and direction and how they made their film. But, early Guru Dutt, let's say CID and perhaps there was another movie, Jal starring Devanand and Geeta Bali. They were very early examples of film noir. And as we all know, Vijay Anand was very fond of film noir. So Jewel Thief and Teesri Manzil, they are excellent examples of film noir. So perhaps, there is one point of similarity. So thank you so much for joining. And some of you have already sent me mails and I have forwarded your queries to the NPTEL administrators. So thank you very much and we'll meet again.